Hello, this is Meghnad and you're watching Sansad Watch, where we tell you what your elected representatives have been doing for you. Way back in 2014, the Modi government promised to give Indians some achhe din. But have you ever stopped to ask, what does achhe din look like exactly? See this picture? This is Ayesha, a daily wage worker from Aurangabad experiencing a small part of achhe din. She is getting a cardboard cutout of an LPG cylinder directly from the Prime Minister because she is person number 8 crore who got a free connection from the government. She said she'll make biryani first. Then, well, this happened.
गैस लेने को मुझे औरंगाबाद को मोदी सरकार ने बुलवाया था. मुझे गैस दिए. मैं अजंटे में आ गई. इंदिरा नगर में रहती हूँ मैं अजंटे में, झोपड़पट्टी में. और गैस लाके घर में रख दिए. उतना फ्री का पहले जला ली हमने, फिर 1 महीना बंद पड़ा. 1 महीने के बाद में हमने भर के किराया रोक लिया घर का और उसको भर के लाए. तो हमको जब से गैस मिला सिर्फ हमने 5 बार भर के लाए.
Ayesha got a connection and a cardboard cutout with it in September 2019. The video you see is from February this year. You must be wondering why I'm telling you all of this. It's because our main story today is about Ayesha and the crores of people like her who were beneficiaries of the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. Today, we are going to try and answer 3 main questions about this scheme. What is the Ujjwala Yojana and how does it work? Is it benefiting the people it is intended to benefit? And is the price rise in LPG hurting the chances of this scheme succeeding? Have to tell you right off the bat that this is one of the most publicized schemes by this government, definitely with some noble intentions behind it. The scheme is quite popular too. It was launched in May 2016 in Balia, Uttar Pradesh, right before the elections. And guess what? Modi ji has relaunched it as Ujjwala 2.0 last month in August, again right before the UP elections.
आज उज्ज्वला योजना के अगले चरण में कई बहनों को मुफ्त गैस कनेक्शन और गैस चूल्हा मिल रहा है. मैं सभी लाभार्थियों को फिर से बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं.
Right, so first up, what is this Ujjwala Yojana all about? You must have already seen posters about this in petrol pumps. Simply put, it is a scheme to give free gas connections to rural and deprived households. The idea is to encourage people to move away from traditional unclean cooking fuel like firewood, coal, cow dung cakes, etc. to clean cooking fuel like LPG. It's a noble idea because the World Health Organization estimates that in India, there are about 5 lakh deaths annually due to unclean cooking fuels. According to experts, having an open fire in the kitchen is like burning 400 cigarettes an hour, which can in turn lead to severe respiratory illnesses. So here's how this scheme works. Under the Ujjwala Yojana, a cash assistance of 1600 rupees is provided by the government of India for getting a 14.2 kg cylinder connection. There is also a 5 kg cylinder option where 1100 bucks are given. But for simplicity's sake, we are going to stick to the 14.2 kg cylinder, which all of you must have seen and used. The cash assistance covers the following: a security deposit for the cylinder, a pressure regulator, an LPG hose, a domestic gas consumer card, and installation charges, where the guys come and they also explain how it works. Additionally, beneficiaries are provided with the first LPG refill and a stove free of cost by oil marketing companies or OMCs. Now that you know how the scheme works in general, let's see if it is benefiting the people it is intended for. The target for this scheme was initially to release 5 crore LPG connections to households till March 2020. This was later upgraded to 8 crore. Everyone was so enthu-cutlet about this that the increased target was in fact completed by September 2019 itself, before time. That's where Ayesha came in, and you saw earlier how she became the beneficiary number 8 crore. The government has claimed that Ujjwala Yojana has been successful with almost 99.5% coverage of LPG in India. This used to be 61.9% in 2016 before this scheme was launched. So, achhe din confirmed? Doubtful. Because the National Family Health Survey of 2020 tells you a different story. You see, the scheme would be considered successful not just when people get their LPG connections in their homes, but when they actually start actively using it. The survey says that in 5 states, Assam, Bihar, Meghalaya, Nagaland and West Bengal, less than 45% people are actually using clean cooking fuel. In Bihar, for example, only 37.8% of households, both urban and rural, use clean cooking fuel. Before the scheme was launched, around 17% of the households in the state were using clean cooking fuels. So don't get me wrong, there was a definite spike in usage by 20%. But the 99.5% coverage figure is, well, kind of a feel-good sub-changasi type window dressing, to be honest. Here's one more fact. The 76th survey of the National Statistical Office in November 2019 says that only 61% of households in India use LPG and 5.5% rural households use dung cakes as fuel. This was 4 years after the scheme was launched. You must be thinking,
Bro, Meghnad bro, 99.5% coverage किया ना, free का LPG connection मिला ना, they got it for free, घर पे. So why you complain? You can't see good in anything or what? हैं?
bro, मैं बताता है, मैं है ना? Because this brings us to our third question. Is the price rise in LPG hurting the chances of this scheme succeeding? You see, just like beneficiary number 8 crore Ayesha, a lot of people got the free LPG connection, but they didn't have the money required to refill the cylinders later on. So they switched back to unclean fuel again. Also, because in rural India, firewood, chips, crop residue and dung cakes are available for free. Another reason for this is because the government stopped giving cylinders at a subsidized rate. Earlier, a person could get cylinders for cheap because the subsidy was already applied to it. The Modi government turned it into a direct benefit transfer thing, meaning a person has to buy the cylinder at full price and then a part of it would be refunded to them in their bank accounts, which would be the subsidy, like a cashback thingy. That's a problem because according to 2013 numbers, 22 crore Indians were earning as little as 32 rupees a day. New estimates say that because of the pandemic, about 20 crore more people might be pushed into poverty. It means an overall increase in poverty by 15 to 20%, making that around half of the country's population, which will be poor. So, to expect a person with barely any income to pay full price on LPG cylinders, then wait for some time to get the subsidy amount in their banks is, well, kind of unreasonable. On top of it all, there is price rise. As per this parliamentary question answered by the government, this is how the price of LPG has risen over the past 1 year. In August and September this year, there were 2 consecutive hikes of 25 rupees each, which drove it up further. And on top of this, since May 2020, the government has severely cut the subsidy being given out for LPG, almost down to zero. Reports indicate that a lot of people have been waiting to get subsidies for the past 9 months, but still haven't received a penny. It's unclear whether they will get it at all. So, the price of LPG cylinders has increased by over 200 to 300 rupees in 1 year, while subsidies were simultaneously cut off and taken away. Yeah. And all of this is happening during the same time when more people are being pushed into poverty. You do the math. Now you know why people are so pissed about the LPG price rise. The good thing is, under the new Ujjwala Yojana 2.0, the government has made getting connections a bit easier for migrant citizens. They would no longer have to struggle to get address proof documents to get the gas connections and would only have to submit a self-declaration form. Look, the Ujjwala Yojana was popular for a reason. For a blissful few months in the beginning, crores of people got a free connection and a free cylinder. Some of them genuinely switched over to using LPG as a fuel, which in turn made them healthier. But with these LPG price hikes and decrease in income, there is a very real fear that all these people who switched over to clean fuel might go back to the old ways, just like Ayesha. Moving on to Know Your Neta. You requested we take a look at Lallu Singh. So your wish is my command. Lalu Singh is the MP from Faizabad constituency in Uttar Pradesh, more commonly referred to as Ayodhya. The 66-year-old MP has had an interesting journey as a legislator. He first won the Vidhan Sabha elections back in 1991 from the Ayodhya constituency. He went on to win 4 consecutive elections from the same Ayodhya seat. So, he's been an MLA for 23 years until Modi ji came along and elevated him. How did he manage to achieve this feat? Well, that is a story of its own. The entire Sangh Parivar, particularly the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, played a significant role to ensure victory of sitting BJP MLA Lallu Singh from the Ayodhya constituency. Right before the assembly elections in 2007, the training camps of Bajrang Dal and VHP activists were postponed and stone carving of the proposed Ram Janmabhoomi temple was also stopped because the VHP diverted all of its resources and manpower for Lallu Singh's campaign. The VHP believed that Ayodhya is not only another assembly constituency but a symbol of Hinduism where the prestige of the Sangh Parivar is at stake. Lalu Singh also contested for the 2004 and 2009 general elections in Uttar Pradesh, hoping to become an MP. But he ended up losing both the elections and remained as an MLA. Then May 2014 arrived and came with it a wave of Modi ji. Lalu Singh finally became an MP. As a member of parliament, his performance has been decent. He has had an impressive attendance record of 98% in the Lok Sabha. He has participated in 8 debates and posed 78 questions to the government in the 17th Lok Sabha. Lalu Singh has also been embroiled in his fair share of controversies. When the BJP candidates were declared for the 2017 UP elections, party workers were extremely angry with the ticket allocation and were protesting against it. When Lallu Singh went to resolve the issue, the party workers tied him up and held him hostage for 2 hours.
BJP leaders Sundar Lal Dikshit and Ram Babu Dwivedi lay down in front of BJP UP chief KP Maurya's car. Take a look at this.
In another incident, Lallu Singh, while scrolling through Twitter, had liked a tweet which contained a rape threat against actor Swara Bhaskar. After being called out, he apologized and said that he had done it by mistake. Lallu Singh was one of the 8 BJP members accused for the demolition of Babri Masjid in 1992. He was recently given a clean chit by the CBI Special Court. He has been actively pursuing the Ram Mandir agenda for the BJP, as expected. He actively distributed sweets to people living within Ayodhya after the foundation stone for the temple was laid. Oh, and another fun fact, Lallu Singh is also the president of the Uttar Pradesh Kabaddi Association. That's all I have for you in this week's Sansad Watch. Remember, if you want to make Parliament great again, you need to watch it first. See you next week. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Sansad Watch. I saw all your comments. We have a lot of suggestions for Know Your Neta. Please keep them coming. I will take some more in the future episodes. I wanted to tell you about our annual conference, which is called the Media Rumble. A lot of people, interesting people would be coming and speaking. There will be policymakers, journalists, experts who will share their experiences with you. It is very interesting. So please go to themediarumble.com and register. Virtual hai, to ghar pe baith ke dekh lena. And also, please consider subscribing to News Laundry because that is the only way we will survive. That is the only way you will get proper news and shows like this.
We, being an independent platform, depend on our readers, viewers and listeners. Support independent media by subscribing to News Laundry. Go to newslaundry.com, click on the subscribe button at the top and pay to keep news free.